Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to the Monday Reset. I'm just repositioning my camera here. Welcome. If you're watching live, maybe comment below with the word live. If you're watching the replay, type in that you're watching the replay. It just gives me an idea of how you're watching my content. So thanks for being here. We are on week 3 of one of my favorite topics, branding. One of the things that I love most about real estate is that we all get to brand ourselves the way we want to brand ourselves. And so anyway, we're going to talk about that, how to stay top of mind and without being salesy, because that's the first thing. Is like, if you've been following me for any length of time, I run my real estate business, very human first, realtor second. And from the very beginning, when I started in real estate 18 years ago, that was my number one thing, is like, I am not going to be that salesy, pushy salesperson. I'm going to somehow find success in real estate without being that annoying, pushy salesperson. So anyway, so we're gonna talk about today how to stay top of mind without being salesy. And I feel like most agents disappear and then suddenly reappear when we need business. And again, that's not really the way we want to run our business. Like, the idea is staying in touch with them in a way where they actually enjoy being in a relationship with you. You're not necessarily just reaching out when you need something. You're actually having that human connection with them before you need business, because, at the end of the day, we want them to think of us all the time when they think about real estate, and definitely don't want to be that person where when the phone rings, you do the eye roll and it's like, oh, Jill's calling. I don't really want to talk to her because she's only going to ask me for a referral or for business or whatever. So I feel like people can feel that immediately when you're practicing your business that way. If you haven't talked to them in 6 months and all of a sudden you're calling them and you're doing the whole, oh, hey, I'm just checking in, that's when it becomes awkward, because it feels salesy, because you're not necessarily talking to people. You're just only showing up when you need business. So we're going to talk about some different ways to do this differently. Okay. So certain things, like when you have an inconsistent pipeline, that's part of the reason, right? You're not reaching out to people. You're not reaching out to people often enough. That's when it becomes awkward. And then you have that fear inside of, oh, I don't want to call them because I have this fear that I'm going to be bothering them. Well, if you're calling just to ask or talk to them about business, you probably are bothering them. So, when you think, oh, well, I don't want to call my sphere because I don't want them to think I'm bothering them. If I don't have anything of value to say to them, I kind of am bothering them. So we're going to show you how to stay top of mind in a way that feels human and natural and doesn't feel icky. So I was listening to something the other day. I want to say it was on Lab Coats. They were talking about phone calls. And they were actually saying that when we make phone calls, it's actually a selfish act, because if I make a phone call, I'm not really sure what the person on the other end of the phone is doing when I'm calling them, right? I'm calling them when it's convenient for me, without really thinking in my head, is this a convenient time for me to call whoever I'm calling? And that whole conversation that came up during this interview or podcast that I was listening to made total sense to me. And, I don't mean to say like we're selfish people, but if you think about it this way, if I'm busy throughout my day, I will have moments where people I love dearly will call me and I do the eye roll. not because I don't want to talk to that person, but because I'm like so engrossed in the project that I'm working on at that moment, I don't have time to pivot my attention to answer the phone to talk to someone in my database. Okay. So when I was listening to this podcast and they were having this conversation about it being selfish when we're making the call, I was like, yes, that happens to me all the time. And I kind of feel bad about it. I feel bad that, the other day someone called me, and it's someone that I really enjoy talking to. I love them. Like, we have a great relationship, but the time of their call could not have been worse. So I just let it go to voicemail, and I thought I'll call her back later. So that's what makes me think about this whole thing about the phone calling being somewhat of a selfish act, because we're doing it on our time frame, not the person that we're calling. Like, we don't even know what's going on in their life right now. I mean, they might be in the middle of a personal catastrophe or something, and here we are calling about real estate, or, not necessarily calling about real estate, but even just calling them to have a conversation. And this is why I'm really, really moving my own business more toward texting, and basically texting and DMs and things like that, because if you send someone a voice memo, they can get back to you whenever it's convenient for them. They still hear your voice, which is great, but they can get back to you whenever it's convenient. They don't have to feel like their day is being interrupted, okay? All right, so consistency builds trust. We talk about that all the time. Not necessarily intensity. So there is a difference between consistency and intensity, okay? So most agents, we operate in bursts. Like, we're super active in our lead gen for 3 days, then we disappear for 3 weeks, okay? That's not a strategy. That's just like emotional effort. Like, you are putting in the effort when you feel like it or when it's convenient for you. You're not super efficient in that you have a daily schedule that you're following. So that's where you get that inconsistency, because we're lead generating in bursts. And, I think about this with my 10 posts a day, because, during the week, I do really, really well with my goal is 10 social media posts a day. I do great during the week because I write everything down in my notebook. I'm being very, very intentional about making sure I get my content posted. But then over the weekend, things are either, I'm either at home chilling and I'm not really focused on doing content. Or like Saturday, I had a listing appointment in the morning, then I had buyer showings in the afternoon. And yes, while I did get, I think I got 4 or 5 of my posts done on Saturday, I didn't get my 10 done on Saturday. So when I talk about like following a schedule or when you have a goal, like, it's not happening in bursts, it's happening consistency. The consistency is where you build a momentum. So even in my own business, it's showing up for me in ways that, I struggle with it too. Being consistent is very difficult, to make sure that you're not operating in those bursts. So that's one thing you have to pay really close attention to. So trust is built through that frequency, that familiarity, and that predictability. And, when you're not showing up enough, when they're not like seeing your posts or you're not showing up enough, there's no predictability there. They start to, in their brain, they're like, oh, well, we saw her once, a month ago. And then here she is, now another month later, and she's doing a lot of posting, and then they don't see me again. Like, that's inconsistency. That's very difficult to build trust that way, where when I'm showing up consistently every single day, and I'm actually talking about social media right now, but that frequency builds familiarity, which builds that predictability in the long run. So, when it's not like you're going to do a great post once and then never do anything again. It's not that you're having to be doing perfect content. I mean, we were talking, if you're part of the Rise and Ramp Up group, we were talking on the call this morning. One of our agents there was talking about her TikTok video that it had gotten like some ridiculous amount of views, like 15,000 views on TikTok. And she said it wasn't even a good video. And I have not had time to go look at the video yet, and I'm sure it was great. But your video, your content doesn't need to be perfect to get the views and to start building that trust. People still see it, even if it's not perfect content. I'm sure we could all go back and look at what we started doing when we started doing video and be like, oh my gosh, I know my own videos. Like sometimes they're still totally cringe, and that's okay. It doesn't really matter as long as I'm out there and I'm doing it and I'm building trust and I'm consistent with it. So think about the people that you trust the most. Do you hear from them regularly, or do you not hear from them maybe once a year? Like it goes the same way about texting, DM, and phone calling. If you are an agent that does a lot of phone calls, again, like if someone in my database, like I don't reach out to them for 3 years, do you think they really trust me? Probably not. Like you're building that trust by being predictable and being consistent with how often you reach out when you reach out to them. So think about your own life in the people or your friends or just people in your sphere that you trust. You're probably hearing from them on a regular basis or talking to them on a regular basis. So I feel like trust is built in small moments over time, right? And, when someone goes in your funnel, that's the beginning of them, of you building trust with them. Like they're dropped into your funnel and, maybe you've heard me say this before, but when someone enters your funnel, like there's no trust there. And you have to make deposits into the relationship to earn their trust, right? So, if you drop them in the funnel and just leave them be and start spamming them with email, like that's going to take a long time to earn their trust. Where if you drop them in the funnel and you start inviting them to your events, you're messaging them on a DM on social media, on Instagram or Facebook, or maybe there's someone, that you met and you have their phone number that you could be texting them. So those deposits into the relationship bank are how you're going to move them from the large opening of the funnel to the small tip of the funnel, where they're either going to refer you or they're going to transact. Okay. So, just ask yourself. So I want each of you to ask yourself right now, would people say that you show up consistently or just randomly? What does everybody think? If you're watching live right now, put it down. Are you someone that shows up consistently or randomly? Because that's something that like we kind of need to audit ourselves and like ask ourselves that question, like, how am I showing up? Because if you're showing up randomly, we're going to talk in a minute how you can actually you can show up in a way with just a simple daily routine where it's not random. So stay with us on that. Okay. So conversations, it's like conversations are what's going to move the needle forward, not necessarily content. So content supports your business, but conversations are what's actually going to build your business. And, I feel like the two go hand in hand, because when you first meet someone, I mean, if you think about the I think about social media right now, and I just had a random situation. Some gal that I had never met before, she private messaged me on Facebook, and I can't read you the message because I'm using my phone right now, but the gist of her message was, hi Jill, you don't know me, but based on what I'm seeing in the Hudson Moms group, clearly you're the person that knows other business owners in the area, and you're someone I need to meet. Would you be open to having a conversation with me via either Zoom or coffee or whatever, just so I can get to know you? And she just randomly Facebook messaged me. We weren't friends on Facebook. I did not know her. So anyway, I met her for coffee on Friday. And my whole point about telling you this story is it's like she saw my content, but the conversation that started in the chat was what led to the coffee appointment. And now, she's someone that I can follow up with. She's someone that is in my database. She's going to be invited to my St. Croix Valley Girls because she is a local business owner here. She talked about joining the Women on the Go. So there's, you're using the content on social media to sometimes start the conversation, but then, if you think about, I've been in real estate 18 years. Some of you on this call have been in real estate as long as me. When we first started, there was no social media. So if I knew someone kind of a little bit, I didn't call them because it felt awkward. I didn't really know them. But here's the thing. If I don't know Brenda only from social media, let's just say me and Brenda are, let's say Brenda lives in my area and I know her, we're social media friends, we're Facebook friends, but I don't really know her, it would be very awkward for me to just randomly pick up the phone and call Brenda. Because we're Facebook friends, but we really don't know each other. Okay, so if I want to get to know Brenda and be purposeful, and we're going to talk about this, I'm going to tell you my whole system around this. If I want to get to know Brenda at a deeper level, I'm going to just start commenting. I'm going to go to Brenda's page and I'm just going to start commenting on 5 of her posts. And Brenda's going to start seeing my name. Not only is she going to see my response, my interaction on her posts, it's going to wake up the algorithm. If Brenda has not been seeing my content, she's going to start seeing it now because me commenting on Brenda's stuff is going to wake up the algorithm. So if you have someone in your database, and this is where we're going to talk about this in a minute to be really, really systematic about this, all you have to do is go on their social media and just start commenting on their stuff. Once you start commenting on their stuff, it's going to wake the algorithm up. But then if I send Brenda a private message in the DM, Brenda's not going to think I'm a stalker. She's going to be like, oh, that's that Jill person that keeps commenting on all of my stuff. And you can start a really easy, natural conversation in the DMs that are going to lead to Brenda starting to trust me. So again, going back to the early days of real estate before social media, if you kind of only knew someone in the community a little bit, you were kind of screwed. There was no way you're going to get to know them without that awkward phone call. And this is the beauty about being a realtor right now, is we have this tool at our disposal that makes it so easy to go from the top of the funnel down to someone that trusts you. The girl that DM'd me that I had coffee with on Friday, she clearly knows what she needs in her life. She needs to be more connected to other people that are highly connected in the community. So she's actively looking for people like me on social media that she can go to coffee with to get to know. So anyway, I hope that makes sense to you, but what I'm trying to get, the point that I'm trying to get across is your content is what supports your conversation. So without the content, people aren't going to be drawn to you to want to reach out to you. So they work hand in hand. Okay, the conversation is the part, the content is the supporting part that's going to support your business, but the actual conversation is the part that's actually going to build it. So, you know, sometimes agents think, oh, if I just post enough, the business will naturally come. And it might, but without that DM conversation and you actually making that next step to move the relationship forward, it's going to take longer. Those deposits are going to take longer. The posts are not what creates the relationship. It's the conversation that actually is creating the relationship. So examples of real conversation in the DMs for people that you already know, I would just say, hey, you know, Lisa, I saw on Facebook that your daughter went off to college. How are you doing? Are you having a hard time? Or, you know, is she getting settled? Whatever. You're watching for things happening. And this is where, going back to my comment about being the stalker, you know, again, it's this amazing tool that we have that we can use at our disposal. I can go to Lisa's Facebook page and see what Lisa's been up to. If I see her daughter went off to college, it's the perfect reason to DM her and be like, hey, you know, how are you doing? I remember how hard it was when my youngest son went off to college. Like, are you doing okay? Like, easy peasy, right? Or it could be, hey, Lisa, I noticed on your social that you and your family just went on a vacation to Hawaii. How was it? It looked amazing. Again, easy peasy. It could be, hey, Lisa, I just noticed on Facebook that you and your family had dinner at San Pedro Cafe. I love that place. My favorite is the mango chicken wrap. Have you ever tried it? It's delicious. And you're asking a question that they can respond to that's going to start the conversation. We're not talking about real estate here, you guys. Like, I am not going in the DM and saying, hey, Lisa, you know, I see we have mutual friends on Facebook. You know, I'm a real estate agent. Do you think you know anyone that might need my services? Like, no, that's not being a human first. That's being a realtor first. We don't want to do that. That's gross. That's what I think. Anyway, that's my opinion. You have to earn the right to talk about real estate later. And anyway, so starting that conversation in the DM, like, you're just having a normal conversation, trying to get to know them a little bit better. So that's the first way you can have a conversation with someone. The voice memo, I'm loving the voice memo right now, because if I want to get Susie a message, but I don't want to interrupt her day, I'm going to call her and I'm going to just leave her a voice memo or text her a voice memo. Then Susie can be like, oh, I can still hear Jill's voice, so it still feels better than just sending a random text. Because, you know, anytime you can hear someone's voice, like, that's a connection that you're making by hearing their voice. But Susie can respond at 10 o'clock tonight if she wants. She can respond whenever it's convenient for her. So the voice memo text, I love it because I'm not interrupting her day. I'm sending her a message. She's going to see it in her text, and she's going to be like, oh yeah, I'll listen to that when I'm not with my client on my showing, right? So anyway, the voice memo is one of my favorite ways because they still get to hear your voice. You can do the coffee meetup one-on-one. You can do a meaningful DM like I talked about. It can either be text or DM, or it could be an in-person interaction. And this is what I love about what Susie Lawson is doing with Women on the Go, because I have had my St. Croix Valley Girls group for 18 years. I started it first thing when I started my real estate business. The one challenge that I face, I still get a ton of business from the group. What I sometimes struggle with a little bit is that the people that attend my networking group are all local business owners who are very heavily networked, right? They go to every networking event there is. They're at the chamber event, they're at BNI, they're at my St. Croix Valley Girls. So sometimes when their cousin asks them for a realtor referral, they might give 3 names because they know 100 realtors. Now, I like to say I need to start networking with people who are not networking, if that makes a difference. There is the St. Croix Valley Girls group who knows 100 realtors because they're always networking. But now I'm networking through my Women on the Go community. And Susie just sent me a message before I hopped on this call that 4 new not Mets joined my Women on the Go community. So I have 4 new people that are just women in the community that don't know 100 realtors just joined my Women on the Go community. It's a social gathering. It's not business related. So when you go have dinner with the group, I'm not going to be talking real estate. I'm going to show up as Jill, the human being that lives in Hudson, and they're going to ask me what I do for work. Real estate's going to come up, but I'm not the one bringing it up. So anyway, think about that. If you are one of those agents that goes to a whole bunch of networking groups, you might want to start intentionally networking with people from church, or maybe you like to volunteer at the local animal shelter, or maybe you love being part of a walking club or a hiking club or whatever. Use your things that you already like to do as a way to get in front of new people. And if you want to start a Women on the Go community in your community, I'm sure I could connect you with Susie and Ginger, and we could make that happen. So if you're interested in hearing more about that, let me know. But my whole point there is, when you're networking with women who are already know a bunch of realtors, it's not going to be, oh, call my friend Jill, she's the best there is. It might be, here's 5 realtor names. Go ahead and interview them and see who's the best fit. That's not the kind of introduction I want. I mean, I'll take it. It's better than nothing. But I want my friend Shauna to be like, you need to call my friend Jill because there's no one in Hudson better than her. That's the kind of introduction we all want when we're getting referred by our sphere. Okay, so, all right. So we want our content to do one thing only, is make you impossible to ignore, and it's the door opener for starting the conversation. So if you don't take that next step for the conversation, it might not really lead to anywhere. They're still going to see you out and about and around town, but if you're not actually taking it to that next level and actually having a conversation, nothing might happen. So if you're posting and not talking to people, you're kind of missing the whole conversation. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about what I mentioned a minute ago about waking up the algorithm. So you guys know I talked about it a little bit last week, that only a few of our followers, I have, 15,000 followers on my Facebook plus my 5,000 friends. I'm at my limit. There's only a small percentage of those people who are actually seeing my posts every day when I post. If I don't wake up the algorithm with those people, they might not even be seeing what I'm posting. So the first thing I do every single day before I make a post is I pick 10 people and I comment on their posts. And I try to pick 10 people who I'm not seeing their stuff. So what I do is at the beginning of every week, I make a list of 25 people. I go through my CRM and I go through my sphere and I'm like, okay, Susie Smith, I don't see her stuff. Her name's going on the list. Julie Nelson, I don't see her stuff. Her name's going on the list. Melanie Hagany, I see her stuff all the time. She is not going to be on my list. And you just pick out 25 people who you're not seeing their content regularly. Then once I have my list, I'm going to go to Susie Smith's Facebook profile and I'm going to comment on one or two of her posts. Then I'm going to move to Julie Nelson and I'm going to go to her profile and I'm going to comment on some of her posts. What that does is it connects us. The algorithm thinks, oh, Jill knows Julie Nelson. She's interacting with her. I'm going to start showing Jill more of Julie's stuff. I'm going to start showing Julie more of Jill's stuff. And it's like the algorithm in its brain or whatever it's using is making a mental note that now me and Susie Smith and me and Julie Nelson are connected. And it's going to start showing them my stuff more regularly. Okay? So I do that first thing before I even make a post. And I call that my revenue 10. It goes along with the daily revenue routine. Like if this is part of your daily revenue routine that you're running every single morning, like you're out there, you're what I call impossible to ignore, because that is the thing. That is the whole goal. Like Grant Cardone talks about being omnipresent. Being omnipresent is people think they see you everywhere. That is why I got the DM from the girl that wanted to meet me for coffee, because she's like, clearly, like, who is this chick? She is everywhere. That is being impossible to ignore. That's the goal. Okay? So the revenue 10 is the system that I teach because like it removes the guesswork. You don't wake up every day wondering what to do, where to start. It's just part of what you do every single day. Okay? You don't have to question it. So every weekday before noon, you're going to have 5 real conversations, okay? This is where you are picking from your list. You're going to pick people to actually DM and be like starting a conversation with, right? Those are 5 real conversations. Then you're going to do a relationship touch with 3 people. And what I mean by relationship touch is these are warmer people. These are people that are already past clients. They're already people you've talked to before, and they're follow-ups. The 5 real conversations are more people that you kind of sort of know, but you want to get to know them better, okay? You're going to do 5 of those, and then the relationship touches are people that you already have conversations with. But you wanna move the needle down more toward the bottom of the funnel. And then you're gonna add 2 totally new people. So think about people that you have mutual connections with. And when I'm looking to add new people, well, actually, the easiest way to add new people that I'm finding is Women on the Go, because I'm just meeting new people. And once I meet them, we're connecting on social media. So if you're not going to do that, here's what I would recommend. I would recommend that you are going to my friend. So I might pick Lisa or Trisha, and I'm going to go to them and I'm going to be like, okay, who do I have that's mutual friends with me and Lisa that I'm not friends with? And then I'm going to see, oh, okay, Lisa is friends with like so-and-so. I know her kind of, I've seen her on social media, but we're not friends yet. And then I would send that person a message and I would say, oh, hey, Julie, you know, we have some mutual friends. I see we're not Facebook friends, but we have some mutual friends. Lisa, for one, how do you know Lisa? And then just start a conversation about how she knows Lisa. And then, you know, from there, you just see where the conversation leads. And then eventually, after, you're having that conversation, you can get to a point where, maybe it makes sense to go grab a coffee or whatever. But meeting someone new on social media, I mean, it could also be you're sending them a private message and you're saying, oh, hey, Lakeisha, I'm making it my goal this year to connect with as many of my Facebook friends in person this year. Are you up for grabbing a coffee? It's not I'm not pitching real estate on Lakeisha. I'm just saying, hey, I have so many Facebook friends that I've never met in person, and I'm really making an effort this year to build my connections deeper. Are you open to having a coffee or a one-on-one Zoom? You could do a Zoom coffee or whatever. So those are how you're going to add the new people. If, like I said, if you don't want to do it through an in-person, connection. Okay. All right. So once you go back and forth, you're having those 5 conversations. It's not surface level. You're actually having a conversation. So those are, you're moving them down the funnel. This is where the consistency lives, because if you're doing this every single day, the other thing that you're doing is you are by working with the algorithm instead of against it. I'm not going to just remain in the feed of 10% of my followers anymore, because by each week choosing a different 25 people, the algorithm is like I'm totally confusing the algorithm. It's probably like, what the actual is going on right now? Because I'm connecting with so many new people, because I notice on my own feed that I'm seeing the same 20 people's stuff every single day. It's because the algorithm thinks those are the only 20 people I want to follow. So anyway, it's going to explode your connections. You get new connections, new introductions, new opportunity. This is how you stay relevant too, without being annoying. Because that is the other thing, especially posting 10 times a day. I don't want to be annoying to people. And I remember in August when I started posting 10 times a day, I was actually updating my followers on my progress and how my views were coming and everything. And a couple people had actually said, and these are like friends of mine that were actually just giving me crap. And they're like, well, that's going to be totally, annoying. And I'm like, well, that's fine. You don't have to follow me. And you know what? My followers are not they're not annoyed, because my follower count has grown and my engagement was up like 35%. And when your engagement is up, it means your followers are enjoying the content that you're putting out there. So, I was able to just say, well, you do you, boo. But whatever I'm doing is working for me because my engagement is through the roof. So anyway, but that is, actual having and not popping in randomly. Again, it's how you stay relevant. It's how you are not annoying. Because the other thing that's interesting, and I don't know why this is, people are, what is that word? People are so curious about realtors and what we do all day. So some of the people that I see that are just killing it on social media right now are literally posting in their stories probably 20 times a day, just in their stories. Like, right now I'm doing this, in an hour I'm going to be doing this. Like literally you can follow through their whole day on what they're doing in their story. And remember, your stories are the people who are in your follower, where reels are going to be presented to people who don't follow you yet. for whatever reason, the algorithm pushes the reels out to people who don't already follow you. At least that's what's happening for me. But the last story I post, it was literally Saturday. I'm like, listing appointment, check. Buyer appointment, check. And then I put something like, the market's heating up. And then I posted that in my story with a picture, a selfie of my face. That story, before it expired in 24 hours, had like 589 people viewed it. Those are people, and when I was looking at who viewed it, they are people from the community here that don't normally comment on my stuff. So now I'm like, that just told me, okay, I'm not doing enough stories. Like, I need to be doing more stories. So anyway, just something to think about. If you're not doing stories, that's a great way to get your local following to be following everything that you do. So remember that. And it's really easy. I know a lot of you are eating out and you're doing a lot of hyper local content. Stories is a great place to put in hyper local content. And then you can still tag the restaurant or the brewery or wherever you are. Okay, so this is not complicated. The reason that agents struggle is they just are not intentional about having a daily plan. And this is why I love my daily revenue routine. This is all a part of my daily revenue routine. I literally check a box off after I do it. And for me especially, I don't know how all of you guys watching are, but if you're not tracking it, it's probably not happening. So I did not bring my notebook into the room here to show you guys, but I carry this little tattered notebook around in my purse with me to track my social media posts because I want to see at the end of the day, I'm a very visual person. And if I want to feel like I accomplished my goal for the day, I need to see it checked off on my paper. That's just really, really big for me. Like I know when I go home at night, if I see all those 10 posts written in, I feel really good about my day. Like, oh, I accomplished what I needed to accomplish. So think of it this way. If you talk to someone every 6 months, that's when it's awkward. If you talk to them every few weeks, that's what makes it normal and not uncomfortable. Consistency turns outreach into a relationship. Write that down. Consistency turns outreach into a relationship. Instead of the, hey, I'm just checking in, you become someone that they hear from regularly, and then you don't have to check in. You're just like, oh, like, what are you up to? You know, you're not interrupting then. I think it becomes interrupting too when the girl that just called me the other day when I did the eye roll, I love her. I don't have time to answer her call right now. I hadn't talked to her for quite a while, so I knew it was going to be a long conversation. So that is the other piece of it is, you know, if I call Trisha today and I haven't talked to Trisha in 6 months, I know it's probably going to be a long conversation. But if I talked to Trisha 2 weeks ago, you know, maybe we can have a 5 to 10 minute conversation and it's not going to be like me doing the eye roll when Trisha calls me. Do you know what I'm saying? And Trisha, I'm just picking on you, but you guys know what I mean. You all have those people. This is why I call my mom pretty much every day. Because if I call her every day, it can be a 5-minute conversation. If I only call her once a week, I'm on the phone for a damn hour because she needs to catch me up on everything she's doing. And I know you guys can all relate to this. Plus, I'm calling her every day just because, you know, she's at that age where I just want to check in, make sure she's okay. And someday I'm not going to get to call her. I've already lost my dad. And, you know, I think about it and I'm like, oh, I wish I could call my dad every day. I can't. You know, he's gone now. So, anyway, I know that totally is not relating to real estate, but it just made me think of that, you know, think about when I do call my mom. Yeah. If I call her consistently, it's a 5-minute conversation versus an hour. So something to think about. Okay, so more examples. Again, you're just asking, you know, hey, how did your daughter's game go? Did you ever end up taking that trip your family was thinking about? Like, people don't connect with perfection. It's more you're just calling to see how they are as a human. So your homework for the week is I want you guys to try to run this revenue plan every single weekday. You know, you don't have to do it on the weekends, but see if you can make this happen. See if you can go through 1 week. Today's Monday, do this 5 days this week, and then we can report back. I know some of you are on the morning Rise and Ramp Up calls. We can report back on how you're doing. But try to, before noon, have your 5 conversations, your 3 touches, and your 2 new people done before noon. That's putting revenue in first position. So my coach always teaches me anything that creates revenue in your business needs to be done before noon, because we all know what happens if it's not. Revenue should always be in first position. Well, that's why I call it the daily revenue routine, right? Because I know these are the things on my daily revenue routine that are creating the revenue for me. And if I don't do them, like if my revenue is not first and everything else is later, sometimes I'm not going to get to the things that create revenue for me. Plus, you know, being consistent is going to change your confidence level in yourself. When you feel like you've accomplished something that you set out to accomplish, you gain confidence. All right. So I want you guys to track all week. Did you get and then like, how did it turn out? Consistency beats perfection. Did you get a deal? Did you get any good conversations? Did you get any listing appointments from it? So anyway, all right, I'm not going to beat a dead horse with that. I mean, this is it for the week. Stay consistent enough so people never forget about you. Again, it's going back to, are you impossible to ignore? Because, you know, if people are seeing your stuff everywhere, you're becoming impossible to ignore. That is branding. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, we're on week 3. We're talking about branding. This is a huge part of branding. Anyway, so this is, for those of you that are not part of the Insiders Group Coaching Program, this is what we talk about, and we run these plays every single week. So if you need more accountability around that, I would love for you to join us. Reach out, either put a comment below Insiders. I can send you more information on that if you want to know what we're doing inside the group. And otherwise, we will just see you in the Facebook group or on our morning Rise and Ramp Up call. Have a great day, everybody.